Good morning, Don.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good, Mark. How you doing?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Not bad.
Little vacay out on Wolf Island.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm stuck in Toronto. Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm out here on Wolf Island, Thousand Island. Never been to this area before. It's awesome. Pardon me as I adjust my camera and figure out where my head's supposed to be. But welcome to Bourbon Street for August 2020.
A little bit this way.
I'm going to adjust myself.
No, the other way.
The other way.
Perfect.
Further. It's like hanging a painting.
We are pros.
What's that?
We are pros.
We are.
Anyway,
we are
keep
pros.
going.
By the way, your background's way better today instead of the old bath mats behind you. I see there's maybe a guitar. Oh, we're ready to jam. And
not me.
Cole will be happy for that free product placement.
Absolutely.
All right, well, let's dive into it today. Lots going on. Talk to me about the reality of today and vaccines.
Well, I guess the questions I'm getting asked all the time are obviously on everyone's mind is the reopening. How do we do it? How do we make people welcome? How do we make people feel safe? So we always talk about keep it simple. If you look at this, we went and tested these three images we pulled off the web. Miss you, we're open. Stop, keep your distance, or the 2 meter tape measure. What you see here is we asked which one would have the greatest impact to encourage visit. Okay, now we're going back to the other one. Let's go back. Here, no. This one, we tested the three. They got to pick which one would encourage the most to visit. And just in your mind for a second, Mark, which one would you say is the most encouraging?
We're open. No, okay, actually, I think it'd be the other 2 meters. I'm going to go 2 meters.
Okay, so that's the question we have. So this would cost a client about $1,500. The one on the left, we're open, 70% preferred. That's the one that people like. Simple, real, honest. The one on the right, 8%. So something as simple as this, just to actually say we're open, invite people in, be honest, say we're awesome, say we're open, don't make it complicated. People notice the distance. People know it's 2 meters. People know they need face masks. They don't need reminded until they get into your location or into your web. So the point there is keep it simple. Show us the other one if you would, please. So again,
Don, quick question for you on that one.
Yep.
Going back a few weeks ago, you talked about one of the insights was that you didn't just need to tell consumers you're going to be safe. You need to show them you're being safe. One of the things you talked about was people actually need to see the sanitization. So has that fallen off, or are people now like, you know, I just want to know you're open. Just tell me you're open.
No, if you from a signage perspective, they need to know you're open. What we said was outdoor spaces, show visual spacing. Don't tell people to keep away from each other. Actually show people away from each other. The point is that, so you do need some signage that makes some sense, but that's not going to get you, that's once you're in the store. So it's exactly the same thing as, we're not saying scream at people. We're saying show them pictures of people 6 feet apart or tables 12 feet apart. Demonstrate to them that you are safe. Don't tell them that you want to be safe. So that's really so I don't think it's changed that much. And then there's a big conversation about shop Canada, shop local, shop US, shop Australia. So we went and tested this again. We got on August 20th, we've tested about 50 of these different things to try and provide some guidance. And what we look at on the right-hand side is come and discover the quality of the products made in Canada. We share Canadian. You can tell that's done by someone, an agency that wants to look very, very professional. The one on the left is just shop local Canada. Real simple, real easy, real straightforward. And the one in the middle tries to bring Canadiana into it. The one that wins is the simple, direct. This is no different than any other time in life. Keep it simple, keep it direct, and to be frank, given agency too much time or money, or a client too much time, they will complicate things. And the fact is, consumers want simplicity. They want straightforward simplicity. So if, I guess the end of this little opening is keep it simple, don't overthink or produce, which is in the top of it. and just invite people in. Show them you're open. Show them you're safe. Demonstrate it, and you'll be you'll be full when people are concerned. So that's the opening salvo. Pureest Biden.
Well, I love that, and I think people like American Express and Visa really count. So, have to admit, pretty amazing week in the United States. An opportunity now for a South Asian, Black female to become vice president. But I think this is bigger than just looking at Kamala Harris as vice president. I think that, when Hillary ran, I hate to say it, but America was not ready for a female president. Hillary had been a man. She would. This go around for the Democratic primaries, there was just a plethora of highly qualified women for this opportunity. And I think what Biden's done, he hasn't actually named a vice president in my mind. I think he's named a president. I think you're going to see this be one of the most influential vice presidential races ever, because I think he's setting the Democratic Party up and he's saying to America, I might be, what is he, 77,
78? Yeah.
I might be the old establishment. You can't possibly imagine him, if he wins, running for a second term. He's sending a message to America. This is where the future is. He's got a 5-year-old vibrant attorney general. Yeah, she had some blunders, but running for president of the United States isn't like, oh, I'm just going to all of a sudden go to the moon. I don't know whether or not you guys have seen this yet, whether you're tracking anything from a consumer standpoint in the U.S. I'm obviously very biased, but I'm bullish on this. And I can't wait to watch her just fucking kick Trump's ass. I mean, skip the Biden-Trump debate. Just let Kamala Harris do them all.
But she will not be allowed to. So the one thing that, being a bit of a pragmatist here, people vote politicians out. The Economic Times is the biggest opportunity to vote someone out. I don't necessarily agree they weren't ready for a woman. I think they weren't ready for Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton's wife, whatever it may be. They despised her personality so much that Trump won the white women vote. We don't need to get into that, but those are facts. So the reality is, hopefully America wakes up and votes in who they want to vote in, because they are supposed to be democratic. And you can say what you want, and I'm certainly not a Trump supporter, but you can't. I have more issue with who's leading our country than who's leading theirs, but that's a totally different topic for a different day. But I think it is exhilarating to have someone direct, forthcoming, ask tough questions, seems committed to the challenge, whatever challenge that may be. And now we're just going to see them try to smear her as badly as possible if they're fearful, which they should be, of those two combination versus Mike Pence and Mr. Trump. So it is a interesting thing, and I hope my hopes lie with you. But as a pragmatist, economies vote people out, and if they didn't get voted out last time. Go.
Yeah, fair enough. But the best stat I saw is that more people are saying their vote for Biden is a vote against Trump than a vote for Biden, which is encouraging, because the reality of life is, I'm to your point, people vote out politicians, and a lot of the Biden vote is anti-Trump, right? I mean, if the Republicans dump Trump, they'd probably have a chance of saving this election. But let's move on, and let's talk a little bit longer. Slow down there, Alice, in the background. You're rushing us today, so if we keep this up, we'll be having breakfast. So. How much longer? I mean, let's talk a little bit about some of the global data you have and insights.
Obviously, it is Ontario stage 3, Toronto stage 3. I talked to enough people, and it's really a time for cynics to be cynical, to go, what if? There's going to be 2 million cases in Ontario if we open. We can't do this. Like, it's great for those people. It allows those people that are cynics to be as negative as humanly possible. But you look at things, and you look at what's going on in Australia, which I talked briefly about last. I mean, it's still up in the 300s. They're down to 30 a day. They're up in the 300s still. You see what's going on in BC. You see Greece, which was fantastic until the last 2 weeks, is up in the 300s with 9 million people. You look at the U.S., Brazil, India, they're out of control. So how long? The big question we had when we started this in March was we were going to be done by July 31st of 2020. If you look now in Australia, if you look at Florida, 58% of people think it's going to be more than a year. That's interesting because see how many cases they have. The other interesting thing is 30% think it's not an issue today. So you look at how long. There's such a
how is that possible?
Because
is there no internet in the swamps in Florida?
It's how it's possible some people get voted in. It just blows your mind. But still 30%. And then the other thing is, you can talk all you want about vaccines. We talked about it briefly, and we just updated this stat. 38% will not get one. They're just like, forget about stage 3, 4, 5 trials. They're not going to get one. So you talk about the herd and everyone getting vaccinated, there's still going to be people out there. But the fact is, if those people get vaccinated, won't get it, then who really cares? If they don't want it, then they don't get it. But how long is this here? I hate to say it. Like I was the optimist that would be talking differently in September. I mean, when Broadway shut down a month ago till after January, that was a shock to me. And New York was doing fairly well at that time. I mean, who knows? 2021, we hope sometime in the fall we'll be back to being good. But I think more importantly, the first thing I showed you was we're open.
It is shocking. It's August 14th.
It's bizarre. So you look at that, and the point is, the new normal, we have to invite people in. We have to be open. We have to use common sense. We have to wash our hands, do the simple things. And life's going to be different. But I can tell you right now, Toronto Stage 3 is a hell of a lot better than Toronto Stage 2. And I don't want to see Toronto Stage 1 ever again. So whatever's necessary. So how long? We're in this for way longer than I thought we would be 2 weeks ago. And it just continues to get flare-ups. But the flare-ups aren't as bad as that. That second wave certainly is not like the first wave. And we hope it continues not to be. It's certainly discerning when the next time you and I are going to travel somewhere. Which lets me get you one question before we flip to the next one. Yeah. Events. You run a lot of events. I've been to a lot of your events. You run fantastic events. When's the next time you think you'll have a live event?
I think live event. If it was me, I would be looking to do something bespoke. 24 to 36 people sometime this fall. I think people need to get back together, and we need to do it in a safe way. You know, I'm on vacation here. It's my dad's 89th birthday this week. We're celebrating. We rented a place out on Wolf Island. And last night we're talking about doing this again next year, which would be my dad's 90th, which would be amazing. But I got to tell you, and I had the same conversation this morning, thinking about, will there be a Tokyo Olympics with fans, without fans? You and I were going to be there this year. But I think we have to get back to live. You know, I've spent my entire career validating the impact and importance of live connection. You know, and marketers say I can spend this many pennies to reach people on TV or this many pennies to reach them online. And all of a sudden, in the last 5 months, I don't have to validate live to anybody. Everybody misses it. We understand it. And so, and you've always said, sorry, I know it's a weird delay here today. We're in the same time zone. It feels like I'm on Mars, but you've always said it isn't one or the other. It's a combination. And, you know, and I again, maybe because I've been primarily in the live space, and now we've launched new businesses like Humanity, which is a creative agency. Just before we move on from how long still, I do have a question for you. Sputnik 5, what do you think about the Russians' vaccine, let alone the branding, Sputnik 5? Like, because you're basically saying it's a freaking moonshot. Our vaccine doesn't work. I didn't know Putin had a daughter. Does Putin have 100 daughters? Like, you know, I want to know who's Putin's daughter. Did she really take the vaccine? Or is she just like, you know, some prehistoric scapegoat like they used to do in ancient times when they'd actually raise people and feed them to be scapegoats, to be sacrificed to the gods? Sputnik 5. What are your thoughts?
I will not be taking the Sputnik 5 or recommending it to any of friends or family if they would listen, but let's hope it works. That's all I can say is I don't care where it comes from. Let's hope it works.
I was pretty convinced that S on your wall behind you was for Sputnik 5. I figured maybe you're patient number 2. I'll move on to
No.
football. So lots going on in the U.S. this week. The Big Ten canceled their football season. The Big 12 has canceled their football season. All NCAA sports, except for college football playoff, all championships have been canceled. So if you play a fall sport in the U.S., unless you happen to play one of the now 3 remaining NCAA football conferences, you're not getting a championship this fall. The Big Ten has packed out. Pac-12 has backed out. And then, you've got guys like Dabo Swinney, who's the head coach of Clemson, who I respect. And if you don't know the Dabo Swinney story, this is a kid who walked on at Alabama. He was a homeless kid. Him and his mom lived in the car. And when he finally got a scholarship at Alabama, he talked his roommate into letting his mom sleep in their dorm room. Unbelievable. Now he's head coach of Clemson, 2-time national champion. And he has the audacity to say this week, I don't care if the Big Ten and Pac-12 aren't in. Whoever wins the national title is still winning it. These Americans, you see Trump, they think they need football. And, the players have trained so hard. It's so freaking important. I mean, football, I love it. You love it. It's a Republican sport. It goes along Republican battle lines. And my brother-in-law said to me the other day, when the people of Ohio bump Trump out, it'll be because he cost them football. I think football might be the one thing to actually make people realize. I hope the NFL can think through how they can manage it like NBA and NHL. I don't know. I think football's in big trouble.
It certainly will have its challenges. I'm surprised MLB has done so well since Florida and St. Louis started off. So, again, I mean, it shows you football is a big, big thing. The biggest, college football is far bigger than the Canadian thinks it is. I don't know. I mean, you got to try what you got to try. No different than probably going back to school, but you have to also be socially responsible to get things going.
Yeah. So let's talk about socially irresponsible. And by the way, on a scale of 1 to 10, could you just tell me what rate my audio? Don, am I a 1 or am I a 3 or am I a 9?
You break between 1 and 4. Your peak at 4 to 10. Sometimes you're 1.
Okay. Anyway. So you can hear me, but you don't know what I'm saying. I apologize.
We can hear you.
Our viewers.
Okay. So we've talked about we for a few.
You go. Socially irresponsible.
I'm not trying to belabor this conversation, but we have had conversation the past week with charities phoning us asking how much impact is this going to have on us. So again, we have our thoughts, but we go and ask people in Canada, US, UK, Australia for this part, just on charities in general. We know it's way up. So we asked them in Canada, are you going to support? Versus 6 weeks ago. What's the change in the last 6 weeks? It's up 12%. They want to support. Donations up 10%. This is attitudinally. Volunteering up 12%. So right. if you don't mention we and you talk about a worthy cause or worthy donation, the propensity in the last 6 weeks to be involved, support, and donate has increased, even the last 6 weeks. If you bring we into it, saying, okay, you bring we into it and say, so are you going to support other charities given what's going on with we and the government? And at that point in time, the very positive news is even when you mention we, it's even. 10% up, 10% more inclined to, 10% less inclined to. So at the end of the day, the good news is if you have something worthy to say and you are a worthy charity, worthy cause, doing something useful, value added, relevant, compelling, better, you got people. And people are dying to, wrong word, people are very motivated to support you in a number of different ways. You just got to communicate. Don't be paralyzed. Get out and talk, show people, demonstrate, be online, get them involved, get them hooked, get them to understand what you're doing, and obviously re-engage the people that you already have. So that's a great thing to see, is the fact that it has had very little impact, if any, except on to we and the Trudeau government.
Yeah. So one of our authors is saying you're being generous in terms of my audio. So clearly it's hard to hear me. I'm looking at myself. I'm sitting in a Muskoka chair. I got a beautiful breeze. I can try to show you my view out here. This is probably not going to work. There we go. Hope you're all getting seasick right now. I got my little doggy right here. There's the princer. So I'm kind of enjoying myself, and you can also tell I've been wearing the same shirt all week. You know you're on vacation when you don't change your shirt.
Absolutely.
So back to the point on we, and this is interesting. We talked about it a lot, and we can keep talking. And they have not returned all the money yet to the federal government, and this is a train wreck. But to your point, I'm very interested in that comment you made. So consumers are not dragging the whole sector down with we. What you're saying is that they're positive. This is not. They don't need to worry about this taking everybody down.
They do not have to worry. They have to worry about being paralyzed and afraid that we did something. Continue on your strategic plan. Keep front and center. Allow people to engage you. So don't be afraid. Say you're open. Say you're doing great things, or demonstrate you do great things.
Well, I want to merge what you talked about earlier about being open and this note. I feel in general, it is time for all of us to get back to business. It's time to sell. It's time to market. It's time to your point, this reality, we've been talking about it for weeks, is not changing. And brands, businesses, entrepreneurs, I mean, we all have to get out there because as you've discussed, and you and I benefited, the amount of tax money that is propping up the economy isn't sustainable. Or if it is, I mean, every week it goes on, the long-term repercussions. But at the same time, you can't have all these lockdowns and tell a barbershop or a music festival, oh, well, that's just too bad. So would you agree with me? It's time to sell. It's time to market. It's time to get back to business.
100%. The reality is that we were apprehensive as a company. Mm-hmm. Now it's time. It's time to go. The fact is, this is the new normal. Get used to it. Suck it up, and let's get moving full speed. I can't agree with you more. It's time.
And back to your earlier question to me about how soon is it for events? I mean, it's about being safe. So let's talk about, for next few minutes, about something pretty big. The education system, teachers, parents, students. There's a lot of fear right now. Schools are opening. They're not. I'm in a public school with a fixed building. Tell kids to socially distance by 6 feet, 2 meters. All of a sudden, all sorts of issues going on. Is the ventilation system right? There's talk about, well, socially distancing could be 1 meter. I mean, it's a real conundrum. You've got the impact on those are my fingers. You've got the impact on children, on socialization, their own development. You've got people trying to get back to work. You got teachers fearing for their lives. How do you socially distance in a school? One teacher said to me the other day, if your child is, going to go to school and he leaves school with a Spider-Man mask, be prepared. He's going to come home with Superman, because what do kids do? They get to school and they trade stuff. So what are your thoughts? I mean, this is a big thorny issue. Country, and thinking, I mean, it's August 14th.
Well, I mean, just from the perspective that the federal government's spending $340 billion, so it's probably $500 billion or more. Each provincial entity who's in charge of school is going to have to spend equal, so we're like $1 trillion in. The fact that they have to go to reserve fund, the Ontario government, to get $500 million, I mean, just open the shit up, spend an extra couple billion, and I'm totally against this. We're going to have to pay for it anyway. Right now, we're past the point of diminishing returns. We have to open society. We have to allow people to be safe. If it costs us to hire every unemployed teacher or every teacher's assistant to get people out there, it's the only way back. And the point there is, that's something I'd vote for in a heartbeat, to say, spend our money on something useful. How can you spend money on anything better than educating youth and making teachers safe while educating youth? So don't be ridiculous, but allow them to actually do it. So it's big, thorny everywhere. The reality is, the reality is that it's got to happen. It's got to happen. It's got to happen quick.
Well, the school size is hard to change, but you could extend the day. To your point, hire additional teachers, launch better online services. You know, at T1, we've started a little venture called Park Street. We're getting in the education business. We're going to make it omni-channel, shameless plug, where kids can learn at home, where they can do excursions. But safety has to be paramount. Use that physical plan 16 hours a day. Create cohorts where kids travel together, they study together, protect teachers. I read the other day that the Ontario Catholic School Board is letting teachers to opt out if they're afraid of coronavirus. They have to use vacation time. That's ridiculous. There has to be a better way. And I'm with you. We've got to open up. So you know, every week you're talking to millions of people. Yes, thank you for the prompt. Biggest issue now for people is finance.
Well, it's been interesting to see how long this is going to. So we've asked a question for the last, I don't know, 8 or 10 weeks. What's the biggest issue today? No issue, social unrest, financial, or health. So pick one of those four. What's the biggest issue? And finance in Canada has always been down at number 4. It's the least important until this last tranche 2 weeks later. So now it's moved from 1 in 5 people concerned about finances to 1 in 3. The scary thing there is everyone's still being subsidized. That subsidy is over soon. So not to be the downer, but I think that is going to be the number one issue for the next 2 years, far ahead of personal health, given the fact of what's coming if we do not get open. Even if we do get open, I believe things are going to be brutally tough. We're going to have to find new ways through. So again, it's starting to register. We'll see what happens to action, and hopefully we can get through this quick. And as you talked about prior, I mean, schools reopening, getting people back to work, getting daycares open in a safe manner, not just because we have to open the economy, in a safe manner is crucial to do. Even if it's 50% open, is better than 0. How do you do that? Is that's why politicians get paid maybe once in their life. They'll actually earn what they get paid for.
Yeah, unfortunately, most politicians aren't exactly the most talented people in the world. So, you know, we're putting them into a crisis that requires ingenuity and entrepreneurism of untold matters. You know, completely unrelated, but I just started Eric Larson's new book in Churchill's first year as prime minister. And the very first thing that he did was, you know, the United Kingdom, Great Britain was not producing enough planes to fight the Germans. You know what he did? He put an entrepreneur, a newspaper man in charge of building the planes, a guy who knew nothing about building planes. And he said, have at her. And I think that's part of the problem we have is that, you know, Labor Day is like Christmas if you're Christian. I mean, everybody knew school was coming back. So why is it a big surprise? Why are we having all these calamities now? You're seeing all these parents who are getting ingenious, creating pods, creating different things. So I think you're right. We've got to get these schools open. Anyway, I don't know how much of this you could hear, but thanks for hanging in there today on Bourbon Street. Be safe. And next week I'll be back in the land of 416 and Wi-Fi.
And hopefully I won't be. Have a good one, Mark. Enjoy.
Ciao.
Bye.